Hi, and welcome back to another Save It for Parts Vintage Tech Review. Today we're looking at another old computer courtesy of Axeman Surplus Stores. This is a local surplus store here in St. Paul, Minnesota that I absolutely love, and I buy all kinds of weird junk from them. So they've hooked me up with this vintage Zenith Data Systems 286 laptop. Now this is a pretty standard early clamshell laptop. A lot of early laptops were like this, where there was extra stuff in the back, sometimes drives, sometimes a battery, and the lid or screen didn't always open all the way or didn't always make up the entire top. Otherwise, fairly standard. It has a floppy disk drive on one side. I believe there is a hard disk drive back here. This is an expansion port for a modem card. Fairly standard EGA or CGA video output on the back, as well as the 9-pin serial. So this was slightly after the original DB25-pin serial era when they went to the smaller serial ports. Well, we do still have the 25-pin printer and floppy connectors for extra accessories. We do have a missing cover here on the back side, and it looks like there's a missing chip. I'm hoping this is just an option ROM or expansion of some sort, and it isn't something critical. It is slightly yellowed from sitting around in the sun. It has the regular UV damage that most old computers have. Other than that and the missing pieces, it seems like it's in good physical condition. And you can tell somebody probably used this quite a bit because it has all of these cards glued on that came with some sort of software. I think this was a Lotus productivity suite. So yeah, old style software used to give you additional stuff like cards that you could glue to your keyboard to remember what the shortcut keys did. So this has a pretty standard barrel connection for power, but unfortunately it uses a weird voltage. It's 16.5 volts. So this was starting to be the era when computer makers realized, hey, we can sell additional overpriced hardware like proprietary power bricks if we make our computers a weird voltage. And I think that it might be center negative instead of standard center positive like everything else. I actually could not find a 16 or 17 volt power connector in my collection. Fortunately, I have this variable power supply also from Axeman Surplus, so we're gonna see if that will get our computer powered up. One interesting feature with this Zenith that I didn't realize at first, the screen locks are position sensitive, so I cannot open the screen when I have it like this or like this. It has to be down on a surface and then the screen locks will open. We have the power supply dialed to 16.5 DC. Let's plug it in and hope that the magic smoke stays inside the computer. And so far we are getting a whole lot of nothing. Well, I was hoping we could get away with just powering this on and firing it up, but there's always something that you have to do with these old computers. They all tend to develop problems with age, in addition to parts wandering off like that modem, hard drives failing, screens failing. You've got internal bits, capacitors can go out, stuff can leak, bugs, mice can get in there. With a hole this big, there could be a whole family of mice living in this thing, developing their entire little mouse civilization, and we'd never know it until we open it up. So, well, let's see if we can figure out what's going on in here. Fortunately, this is still from the era of Phillips screws. All right, we do in fact have a hard drive in place. And interestingly, there are a couple additional connectors in here for, I guess, more drives. That's kind of interesting. I expected this to have a battery somewhere, but I'm really not seeing one. We do have our power supply block back here. When you're messing around with these, you always want to be careful of capacitors and whatnot. Those can still hold a charge and shock you. Well, I don't see anything visibly wrong on this power board. Maybe somebody out there has instantly identified the problem, but I am not enough of an expert to know what goes wrong on these besides blown capacitors, short circuits, and other really obvious stuff. This little sub-assembly here with the barrel plug and the switch was a little bit loose, so I might try reassembling it and just tightening that up. I did give the whole thing a little blast of air, and some stuff did come out. It looked like mostly plastic parts. Hey, we're getting some activity this time. Getting some horrible noises as well. I dug around online some more and I found someone's teardown on a machine like this along with some technical manuals they had uploaded. I'll put those in the link down below in the description if you're interested. So yes, it is reverse polarity. Where we are now is we have a cat. Yes, you're so helpful. Let's not get shocked. So where we are now is a couple problems. It seems to be stuck in a boot loop. It keeps beeping at me. The backlight kind of works, but the contrast doesn't really seem to do much. And that backlight does fritz out occasionally, so I have to play with the little rheostat slider here. Now I'm still not seeing anything on the screen. I am not hearing the hard drive spin up. We've got at least 3 problems here. I did look on the technical manuals, and that thing that's missing on the underside, that extra ROM, is apparently a coprocessor. So having that missing shouldn't keep it from booting up, I don't think, because it's an optional extra. Also, it is supposed to have an external battery pack that kind of bolts onto the back, so if you want this to be truly portable, you have to make it twice as heavy. Yeah, it kind of acts like it's working. If I do Control-Alt-Delete, it sounds like it's rebooting. And then I think it's going into the BIOS setup if I hit Escape. And yeah, I can use the numlock and caps lock, and I can actually do FN and turn off the LCD, send it to an external CRT. All right, we are back with the Zenith 286 laptop. It is a new day, new Axeman shirt. Yes, I have multiple Axeman shirts, don't judge me. I was hoping to find a CGA to VGA adapter so I could use this with an external monitor. Instead of an adapter, I have actually found a vintage monitor. And I actually got this from Axeman Surplus as well, although I got this one from a different store than the laptop. This was up at the Fridley store. All right, the screen seems to power on. At least we got that fuzzy staticky noise, and I can feel the static on it, so the electron tube seems to be working here. I'm still getting nothing on the CRT, even when I adjust the brightness and contrast. So unfortunately, I seem to be at another dead end. I am not enough of a circuit expert to open this up and diagnose what's going wrong with the video system, what can I fix in the display circuit, what's going on with the CRT versus the LCD, is it the same issue, do these both have different issues? I looked up the monitor here, which comes from a Brother word processor, and this is actually an MDA monitor, monochrome display adapter, so it's not even CGA or EGA, it is even older, and there is mixed information online about whether this will actually work with a CGA output. Some people say, no, it won't work and you'll damage the monitor. Other people say it'll work fine. Personally, I actually remember using monochrome monitors on a CGA connection with no problem, but I think those were IBM monitors and not Brother, so yeah, it's hard to tell. This could be just not liking the connection from the laptop, or there could be something else going on with the laptop. All right, we're back with the Zenith laptop, and we have this thing, which is supposed to be a CGA and EGA to VGA adapter. So I've got that wired into the 9-pin CRT port. I looked that up online just to make sure, and yes, it is CGA. And this should let me display the internal video onto an external monitor, as long as this thing even works. There's still nothing coming through that adapter. Oh, we've got something. Yeah, it seems like it's trying, but I think something's wrong with the display adapter on the laptop, because it is not outputting anything coherent here. It's just giving me the green channel. So it's possible this LCD display is kind of okay, and it's mostly the display circuitry that's screwed up, although this does still have issues with the brightness contrast, and I can hear the backlight kind of whining and struggling, so there are definitely more issues than just the video output. Well, this is about the closest I've gotten to anything recognizable coming out of the Zenith laptop. Although for all I know, this could just be a glitch coming from the converter box. This might not even be video from the laptop. Alright, well, I am officially out of ideas on the Zenith laptop here. I feel like I've tried almost everything I can think of to get this running, get anything out of it, get it at least somewhat operational, enough to show you for the video, but unfortunately we're getting basically nowhere with it. If anybody has an idea for a next step for this or something to try with it, please let me know in the comments. I'm going to wrap this video up and move on to the next old computer that I got from Axeman Surplus. I've actually got one here that I'm also working on trying to get back into operation. I got a bunch of these old computers from them, and these were kind of their backlog. These were ones that tested bad, didn't work, and they didn't really want to put out on the shelves for sale. So I got these for free, and they all have some issues so far, but some of them are working a little bit better than others. Like the Compact here is a lot more promising, and as you can see, I've kind of given up on the Zenith, and I'm moving on to the Compact in my work area, so that will be a future video. Thank you also to my Patreon subscribers who help me afford random gadgets like the little CGA adapter here. It definitely helps to have some Patreon support for random supplies for projects like this that I otherwise probably wouldn't buy. I'm sorry I couldn't get much more out of the Zenith here. I hope this is still at least something of an interesting video. Thank you to everyone out there for watching, and we'll see you next time.